Caleb Moore was more than just an athlete. He was a thrill seeker, a man driven by an unquenchable desire to defy the odds. On January 24th, 2013, fans watched in anticipation as he lined up for what should have been a routine stunt at the Winter X Games 17 in Aspen, Colorado. A backflip, a move Caleb had executed countless times, was the trick he'd attempt that day. But as his snowmobile launched into the air, the impossible happened. In a split second, what should have been a triumphant landing turned into something far more devastating. The crowd gasped, frozen in shock. Caleb's snowmobile slammed down violently, the scene unfolding like a nightmare in slow motion. This moment would mark a tragic turning point, not only for Caleb but for the entire world of extreme sports. In this video, we'll take you on a journey through Caleb Moore's meteoric rise, the unimaginable risks he embraced, and how one fatal moment would forever alter the course of his life and legacy. The heartache, the passion, and the courage it takes to live life on the edge, all of it builds to that fateful day. Stick with us as we unravel the story of a man who truly lived without fear and the deadly trick that took it all away. Born on August 28, 1987, in the small town of Crum, Texas, Caleb Moore wasn't surrounded by snowy mountains or frozen landscapes. No, his early years were spent riding ATVs through dusty terrain. But from the start, it was clear. Caleb had an insatiable thirst for adrenaline. Alongside his younger brother Colton, Caleb tore through the world of freestyle ATV riding, gaining a reputation for pushing the limits in ways that left onlookers breathless. Fear never held him back. In fact, it fueled him. But snowmobiles called to Caleb. The icy terrains and roaring machines presented a new, thrilling challenge that stirred his soul. In 2010, Caleb made his Winter X Games debut, switching from ATVs to snowmobiles, an audacious move that sent shockwaves through the extreme sports world. His fearless leap into this new arena earned him a bronze medal, and from that moment on, Caleb's name became synonymous with daring feats that most would never even dare to imagine. His path was not without danger. Each time Caleb revved up his snowmobile, he was taking a gamble with his life. But that was what made him legendary. He wasn't just competing for medals. He was chasing the rush that came from risking everything for the impossible. And it was this undying passion that made Caleb a fan favorite, someone whose stunts were eagerly anticipated, not just for their technical brilliance, but for the sheer audacity that came with them. By 2013, Caleb Moore had reached the peak of his career. He had become a force to be reckoned with, a man whose tricks seemed to defy the laws of physics. But while Caleb was soaring to new heights, the risks that accompanied each leap grew exponentially. His love for the sport was matched only by the dangers that loomed with every flip, every spin, and every jump. His fans revered him, but his loved ones watched with a mix of awe and fear, knowing all too well that the higher you climb, the harder you fall. On that cold January day in Aspen, Caleb was ready to perform once more. The crowd buzzed with anticipation as he prepared for his next trick, the backflip. It was a move Caleb had mastered time and time again, one that always left the audience in awe. But this time, something went terribly wrong. As Caleb launched into the air, his snowmobile twisted into the backflip, but the rotation was off, just enough to turn excitement into horror. In an instant, the machine crashed down with a force so brutal that it knocked the breath from those watching. Caleb was thrown beneath the heavy snowmobile, the crushing weight slamming into him as he hit the ground. But Caleb being Caleb, he stood up. Against all odds, he dusted himself off and waved to the crowd. The fans, relieved, cheered for their hero, believing that he had once again escaped unscathed. They had seen him recover from crashes before. Little did they know, the true damage was far worse than anyone could have imagined. Behind the scenes, Caleb's body was reeling from the impact. His internal injuries were critical, his heart had been contused, and his brain was severely compromised. Hours after the accident, his condition began to deteriorate rapidly. What had seemed like a minor injury was in fact a ticking time bomb. Caleb was rushed to a hospital in Grand Junction, Colorado, where doctors worked desperately to save his life. But the damage was too severe. Caleb was fighting for his life, and the world waited with bated breath. For a week, his family, friends, and fans held on to hope. Caleb had always been a fighter, someone who never backed down in the face of danger. But on January 31st, 2013, the unthinkable happened. Caleb Moore passed away, succumbing to the injuries that no one had seen coming. The world of extreme sports was plunged into a deep state of shock. A legend was gone. The ripple effect of Caleb's death was felt far and wide. This was the first fatality in the history of the Winter X Games, and it shook the very foundation of the sport. Snowmobile freestyle, once celebrated for its heart-stopping stunts, now carried with it a sobering reminder of just how fragile life can be when you're pushing the limits of what's humanly possible. How could someone so fearless, so skilled, be taken down by a trick he had mastered? The answer lies in the nature of extreme sports themselves. Caleb's snowmobile weighed more than 450 pounds, a deadly force when things go wrong. The unpredictability of the machines, combined with the complexity of the stunts, created a lethal cocktail of danger. Caleb's tragic accident forced the extreme sports world to confront the darker side of their passion. That in chasing the thrill, sometimes the cost is far too high. But Caleb's story didn't end with his death. His legacy lives on in every rider who dares to push the boundaries, in every fan who watches in awe as athletes defy the impossible. His brother Colton continued to compete, determined to honor Caleb's memory with every performance. Caleb's spirit of fearlessness, of chasing your dreams no matter the risks, still resonates deeply with those who loved him and admired his courage. In the wake of his passing, the Winter X Games introduced stricter safety measures, but Caleb's death remained a stark reminder of the delicate balance between thrill and danger. His snowmobile, a machine designed for extreme performance, became a symbol of both his incredible skill and the unforgiving nature of the sport he loved. Nevertheless, Caleb Moore is remembered not for the way his life ended, but for the way he lived it. His passion, his determination, his willingness to embrace every challenge head-on, that's the Caleb people remember. He was more than just a rider. He was a legend who lived life fearlessly, always pushing the limits of what was possible. In conclusion, Caleb Moore's journey through extreme sports was one of raw passion, boundless courage, and heartbreaking loss. His final backflip, though tragic, was a testament to the risks he willingly embraced in pursuit of greatness. His death was a devastating reminder of the dangers inherent in chasing the extreme, but his life stands as a powerful symbol of what it means to truly live for the thrill. Caleb Moore's legacy will forever be one of inspiration, a reminder to live boldly, love fiercely, and never hold back.